Okay, everybody's stuck at home. Colleges are closed. And the fear, and really the reality here, is that colleges might remain closed this fall. And that would mean that the college football season couldn't happen. You know, the NFL can play games in empty stadiums. That's a real ability and a possibility here. But colleges are different. The athletes in college football are not professionals. And they need to be in school. They need to have campuses open for them to attend college. And look, you can have every school, you can have 8 schools out of 10 in the Pac-12 agree to open up their doors. But if even just one, let's say every school but Oregon State, or every school except for Stanford, decides to open up their campus, if one school in the conference doesn't open up, it ruins things for everybody. And, you know, if campuses are closed, then college football cannot happen, may not happen, and it will not happen. So one idea currently being thrown around is that maybe the NCAA is going to move the college football season from this fall and push it back to January. It would take place from, between January and May. It would start in January, end roughly in May. But here's what's crazy. The NFL draft is in April. So I want you to imagine that Trevor Lawrence, playing for Clemson, is in the middle of his season and then suddenly gets drafted with the number 1 overall pick in April. Does he keep playing for Clemson? What does he do? And honestly, the reality is that if the college football season gets moved to January, then some of the top players, guys like Trevor Lawrence, simply are not going to play. He's the quarterback at Clemson. Trevor Lawrence is not going to play. He needs to be at the combine doing interviews with teams face-to-face, getting to know them, talking to teams in February. He gets drafted in April. He's not going to risk an injury. And here's what's even weirder. Here's the college football season, if it goes back to January or May, when are they going to come back? Are they going to have games in January through May, then have June and July off, then football training camp starts again in August for the next fall season? If you push things back, everything has to get pushed back forever. You're going to have 2 college football seasons next year in 2021, one in the spring and then one in the fall. You have to realize the damages and the, repercussions of having, a pushed back college football season. It's bizarre, man. Here's what's even more interesting. Colleges cannot cancel college football. They need the money. Colleges need the money that college football generates. And so they actually cannot afford to cancel the season. There's a crazy problem here. How is this you can't cancel college football. Everybody needs the money. But also you can't have it because campuses might be closed. And if you move it back, you screw up everything in any way. It's really crazy. What's going to happen? I don't know. I think what is likely going to happen is if they do move things back to January, you're going to have a weird skull and bones, the word is bare bones, college football season with a lot of talent sitting out, a lot of guys not playing. Think about this. What would this mean for the XFL? Number one, ratings next spring for the XFL. If college football gets moved back to January, ratings for the XFL would be screwed. Think about it. Viewership would be deciding between an XFL franchise, a team they're not very familiar with, which is new and an upstart league, or are they going to watch their local college team, a team they've been invested in for years? If you're an Alabama fan, you have, let's say, what about this? In Missouri, you have the St. Louis Battlehawks in Kansas City. I guess in St. Louis. St. Louis. What am I talking about? You have the St. Louis Battlehawks in St. Louis, or you have the Mizzou football team. What are you going to watch? You went to Mizzou, you're a longtime fan, or this new thing, the St. Louis Battlehawks, you barely know, and they only played 1 year last year, only played 5 games. So viewership would go to college football, but here's another fun thing to think about. XFL versus college football. Imagine you're a college football player, and you have 1 season left. And you're a fringe NFL guy. You're not like Trevor Lawrence doesn't need to play. He's already going to be the number 1 overall pick. In fact, playing probably would hurt his stock in the NFL. So the guys at the very, very top of the NFL draft don't need to play. But if you're a guy who's like a 7th round pick, a projected 7th round pick, you really do got to play somewhere because you have to increase your draft stock and try to prove how good you are and prove that NFL teams need to draft you higher than the 7th round or have you be an undrafted free agent. But here's the question. You have 1 year left in college football. At least you have 1 year left before you go to the NFL. Where do you want to play? Do you play in college or do you play in the NFL? Excuse me, what am I saying? Do you play in college or do you play in the XFL? Professional football or college football? Yeah, again, you got spring football and then you're headed off to the NFL. Where do you play? I hope I'm not confusing people. You could go to the XFL, which has a shorter season, fewer games to get injured in, and bonus, ding, 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 you get paid. You get paid to play football. If you play college football, which was happening at the exact same time. In college football, you'd have a longer season, more games, higher chance to get injured. You're not making any money, and in fact, you're not making money. You have to pay. You don't have to pay, but you have to go to classes. You have to go to biology, math, science. You have to take classes, which you don't want to take. You want to play college football. So because they're happening at the same time, potentially next year, the XFL and college football, if you put them side by side, the XFL is a much better deal for players. It's just that's what you want to do. It's a very interesting year because the talent might leave college football next year. Now, new guys would emerge, probably freshmen. But it would still be a very, very odd year. College football might be kind of, gutted of all its talented players. If college football, the season gets moved back to January, it's going to be a crazy ripple effect. How does it affect the draft? Who's going to play? What about the XFL versus college football? Are you really going to have a season in spring and then again next fall? Is it going to become a spring sport? What's going to happen to college football if you move everything back the way it's going? A lot of odd stuff going on, and I'm really fascinated to see what happens and how college football handles the possibility of not being able to have a season this fall. In case you don't know, Strong Opinion Sports is not just a YouTube channel. It is also a full audio podcast. You can find it on Spotify, on iTunes, on Google Play, pretty much everywhere you find podcasts. And if you like podcasts, please do me a huge favor and give it a listen.